The rain poured relentlessly, soaking the streets in darkness. An old man, wrapped in a tattered coat, shivered as hunger gnawed at him. He hadn't eaten in 2 days, yet his tired eyes locked onto a little girl huddled near a diner, trembling from the cold. Reaching into his pocket, he found his last crumpled dollar. It wasn't enough for himself, but maybe for her. "Here," he said softly. She hesitated, then took it with tearful eyes. 1 week later, a black car pulled up beside him. The door opened, and the girl's father stepped out. "You changed everything." Hello everyone, welcome to Soulful Story channel. Before starting story, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories. Let's started. The rain came down in thick sheets, drenching the city streets. The old man clutched his tattered coat tighter around his frail body, his fingers numb from the cold. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. But as he stood under the dim glow of a flickering streetlight, his tired eyes locked onto a little girl huddled near the entrance of a 24-hour diner. She was shivering, her tiny hands clinging to her empty stomach. Her clothes were damp, her hair tangled, and her big, frightened eyes darted around, searching for something, someone. The old man took a shaky breath. He reached into his pocket, feeling for the only thing he had left, a single crumpled dollar bill. His heart ached. It wasn't enough to buy himself a meal, but it might be enough to help her. He hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward. "Here," he said, holding out the dollar. "Get yourself something warm to eat, little one." The girl looked up at him, her lips trembling. But, what about you?" He forced a smile. "Don't worry about me, sweetheart. I'll be fine." She hesitated, then took the bill with shaking fingers. "Thank you," she whispered, before running inside. The old man turned away, his hunger forgotten for a moment. He had done what he could. Years ago, Jacob Whitmore had been a respected history professor. He had a comfortable life, a modest home, and a love for storytelling. His students admired him, and he took pride in shaping young minds. But life has a cruel way of unraveling even the strongest threads. It started with his wife's illness. The medical bills piled up faster than he could pay them. He drained his savings, took out loans, and when she passed away, he was left with nothing but debt and grief. Soon after, he lost his job. His university was downsizing, and older professors were the first to go. With no family to turn to and no income, Jacob found himself slipping through society's cracks. He sold his house, then his car, then his books. Eventually, he had nothing left but the clothes on his back. The streets became his home, and yet, even in his lowest moments, he refused to let go of kindness. Sophia Bennett was only 7 years old when she wandered away from her father that night. She had been holding his hand at a busy intersection when a sudden commotion, a car honking, people shouting, made her panic. One moment, she was beside him. The next, she was lost in a sea of strangers. She ran, hoping to find something familiar. But the city was vast and cold, and every turn led her further away. Hours passed, and the hunger gnawed at her small frame. She had no money, no phone, and no idea how to get home. When the rain started, fear turned to despair. That was when she saw the old man. Lucas Bennett was a man who built his fortune from the ground up. A real estate mogul, he was known for his sharp business mind and relentless drive. But none of it mattered when his daughter went missing. The moment he realized Sophia was gone, his world collapsed. He called the police, hired private investigators, and spent the entire night searching the streets himself. Every second felt like an eternity. Every minute she was missing was a weight on his chest. He didn't care about meetings, deals, or money. He only wanted his daughter back. But the city was too big, and she was too small. Then the next morning, a diner owner called the police. A little girl had been found. Sophia's father rushed to the diner the moment he got the call. When he arrived, she was sitting in a booth, wrapped in a warm blanket, eating a plate of pancakes. The moment she saw him, she burst into tears. "Daddy!" Lucas held her tightly, his heart hammering in his chest. "Sophia, I'm so sorry. I thought I lost you forever," she sniffled. "I was so scared, but then a nice old man gave me $1 so I could eat. If he hadn't helped me, I don't know what would have happened." Lucas pulled back, confused. "An old man?" She nodded. "He was cold and hungry too, but he gave me his last $1. Lucas's eyes darkened. Whoever this man was, he had saved his little girl, and Lucas wasn't about to forget that. For the next week, Lucas searched the streets. He had his men ask around, showing a photo of Sophia with a description of the old man. "Where is he? Lucas muttered under his breath as he drove through the city himself. He had more than enough resources to help this man. He just needed to find him. Then, one morning, as he turned a corner, he saw him. There, sitting on the same street corner, was the old man Sophia had described. Lucas stepped out of his car, staring at the frail figure hunched against the cold. He wasn't what Lucas expected. He wasn't some beggar looking for handouts. He had dignity in his posture, even in his struggle. Sophia ran ahead of him. "It's you," she said, hugging the old man tightly. "You're okay." Jacob blinked in surprise. "Little one, you found your family?" Lucas stepped forward. "She did, because of you." Jacob shook his head. "I just did what anyone should." Lucas took a deep breath. "You gave my daughter hope when she had nothing. Now, let me do the same for you." He pulled out a set of keys. "I own several apartment buildings. One of them is now yours. No more sleeping on the streets." Jacob's breath caught in his throat. I can't accept this." Lucas placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "You can, and you will." Tears welled in Jacob's eyes. For the first time in years, someone was giving him a chance. Jacob moved into his new apartment that very night. A warm bed, hot food, and a roof over his head. It was more than he had dared to dream of. But he didn't stop there. With Lucas's help, he reconnected with an old colleague at the university. Soon he was back in a classroom teaching history once more. His past didn't define him, his kindness did. And Sophia? She never forgot the lesson he taught her. Years later, when she grew up, she started a foundation in his honor, the dollar that changed everything, to help the homeless find jobs, homes, and dignity. Because one act of kindness, no matter how small, could change a life forever. If this story touched your heart, remember, kindness, no matter how small, can change a life. What would you have done in Jacob's place? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe in the power of kindness, like this video, subscribe to our channel and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can create a world where every act of kindness sparks another.